Welcome back. Now we'll take your questions. If you have a question yourself, send it to us at QuranSpeaks.com. So Dr. Shabir, the question that we have today is about the Mecca Hajj Stampede, and someone's written in asking, if God existed, then why would he have let people die in such a tragic manner?
Well, such tragedies do not mean that God does not exist, because we still have very good reasons for thinking that God exists. We have, for example, the cosmological argument, the teleological argument, the moral argument for the existence of God. We have the Quran, which is demonstrably a revelation from the Almighty God. So all of these reasons together convince us that God does exist. Now the question is, why, if he exists, why would he, or given that he exists, why would he allow such tragedies to occur? Especially with such large numbers of people dying when they're trying to worship him. You know, if they were dying when they were committing sins, you might say God has just zapped them out of existence as a punishment and just reward for their sins. But when they're worshiping God, well, first let me register my own sadness and reflect the sadness of the Muslim community at this tragedy. We wish it wouldn't happen, and all measures should be taken to make sure that it does not happen again. But when such tragedies happen, we try to make sense of it, and some people think it doesn't make any sense at all, and maybe God does not exist. Now, so let's try to make sense of it. Now, if we think about 2 million people gathering there to perform the pilgrimage, then in a population of 2 million people, certainly some number will die every day through natural causes and through accidents of a wide variety of kinds. And I don't know what the actual average number is in a country of 2 million, how many people might die in a particular day. So you have to say that here, if you have 2 million people here, pilgrims, think of that like one country, and some people will naturally die, either through natural causes or through accidents of some kind. And this is over a period of maybe pilgrims are there for at least a week, probably 2 weeks, and perhaps even 3 weeks. So over a period of 3 weeks, daily death rate times 21 days, how many people might you expect to die? And if we work out the figures, it may be, and God knows best, that this number who died in this tragedy, actually there were 2 tragedies, so we combined the 2. First a crane fell on some people, and now this stampede. So less than 1,000 people altogether, but even if 1,000, perhaps if we worked out the average death rate and multiplied by the 21 days, then we may see that this number is not as alarming as it first sounds.
So are we normalizing it?
No. Still, it is a tragedy, and still we should do our best to avoid such a tragedy, because we don't want people to die all at once like this in such a horrible manner, being trampled upon. But what we're saying that it just makes it easier to understand if we put it in this way. So that's one point. The second point is that the Quran itself says that God has His way of choosing shuhada. The Arabic word shuhada might be translated as martyrs. And there are many ways in which, if a person dies, that person qualifies as a martyr, which is one of the most desirable ways of leaving this world. We all have to leave this world anyhow. Some leave while committing sins, some leave while in a state of doing good deeds, and some leave by some other tragedy. Not that doing good deeds is a tragedy. So some leave by, the hadith says that if a wall collapses on somebody, causing that person's death, that person dies as a martyr. So we might look at that and say, this is tragic, the person died. Let's fix walls and make sure no walls fall on anybody. But the silver lining in this dense cloud, this dark cloud, is the fact that this person is given a good reception by God. So while this person suffers a tragedy here, that person is well received in the life hereafter and gets an ample reward as a compensation for this tragedy. Now, I said that God chooses His martyrs, and we are told in Hadith that when a person dies while performing the Hajj, the pilgrimage, that person will resurrect on the Day of Judgment reciting the declaration that one recites when one enters into that state of sacredness to perform the pilgrimage rites. And the Muslim knows this formula as beginning with labbaik, saying labbaik Allahumma labbaik, which means here I am, God, at your service, here I am. So imagine the glory of resurrecting on the Day of Judgment, reciting this very formula, whereas other people may be scrambling about, thinking about their sins. People will be perturbed on the Day of Judgment, not knowing where they are and what's going to happen next and where they're going to be sent. And some people will have that solitude of being able to declare a word of faith on that particular day, leaving this world in that state and entering into the life hereafter. It's almost like going through a wormhole from this life to the life hereafter, and the life hereafter is a reflection of the way you were right here in this life and the way you left this life.
I was also reading online, there were some people that commented saying that when you, they were actually praying to die during the sacred pilgrimage.
Well, this may be another aspect of it, that when we think about the behavior of the pilgrims some people may have just accepted it. You know, we read stories about the survivors saying, you know, I struggled, I rose, we were gasping for breath, and somebody rescued me, and, you know, thank God for that. But there may be some people who, in a situation like that, have just resigned themselves and said, okay, it looks like my death is coming now, and better now than in some other circumstance. I just accept it and don't fight it. Maybe that contributed to the large number of deaths. And I don't recommend for Muslims to do that. We have a responsibility to preserve life, and our own lives in particular, and the lives of others, and we should not endanger ourselves and others. But some people may have actually resigned themselves to death when they saw it coming.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.